My name is Lydia Rowan, and I'm 30 years old. 2 Thursdays ago, the room smelled like vanilla cake and soft bravado. Kellen's birthday party spills easy, top shelf tequila, dim Edison bulbs, somebody's playlist of late 2000s hits trying to time travel us into better decisions. I weave toward the bar for waters, past a knot of men laughing like they've never broken anything they couldn't fix with a joke. That's when I hear Evan, my boyfriend of 2 years, say my name the way people say parking validation. Lydia's great, he says, and the word great lands like a pat on the head. She cooks, cleans, remembers stuff. Perfect practice girlfriend before I find my actual match. A beat. Then Brian. So, when are you going to upgrade, man? Taylor from your Pilates class keeps asking. Jaden laughs. Dude, you've been figuring things out for 2 years. Evan's reply is a low chuckle I've never heard aimed at me. Soon. She's comfortable, you know? Placeholder until it lines up. I stand 3 feet behind them holding 2 sweating glasses and a smile that doesn't belong to my face. Placeholder. I hand Evan his water. He kisses my temple in front of his friends, the performance sliding on smooth. See? Lydia's thoughtful. They nod like we've just proved a thesis. I say nothing. I don't cause a scene. I note facts the way a pathologist notes time of death. For the next 2 weeks, I pay attention. On his Instagram, I am a blur in his sunglasses or a hand on a wine glass. Never a caption. His bio says, living my best life, no mention of a girlfriend. In his phone, I am Lydia, which he says is because I feel like home. His ex-girlfriend, Sierra, is Sierra. Of course she is. Still, I plan our anniversary dinner. I make the reservation a month ahead at the steakhouse where we had our first date, the one where he teased me for ordering the expensive wine I loved. I text him the time, 8:00 p.m. He sends back a heart, a rocket, a can't wait. The day of, at 3:00 p.m., he texts, Uber crisis, might be a tiny bit late. Start without me if you need to. At 7:45, I arrive in a black dress that fits like a sentence I'm finally ready to finish. I tell the waiter we're celebrating. He congratulates me and leaves the wine list like a permission slip. At 8:15, Evan. On my way. Traffic is insane. Order for me. You know what I like. I don't order for him. I order for me. The Wagyu special he always called unnecessarily bougie. Medium rare. Perfect. At 8:30, he texts again. Parking is a nightmare. Why didn't you pick somewhere easier? The blame slips out like muscle memory. I lift my phone, frame the scene. My glass raised, candlelight warming the red to ruby. I type, 2 years of lessons learned and recognizing my worth. Here's to new beginnings and to never being anyone's placeholder. I tag the restaurant. I tag him. My phone jumps. 3 missed calls, then 7. I switch it to do not disturb and taste the steak slowly, the way you taste something you paid for twice. Once with money, once with time. The waiter returns, gentle. Is your companion still coming? I smile. I don't think he ever really was. He nods in that way strangers do when they know they're witnessing a hinge in someone else's life. He brings me a complimentary dessert with a single candle. The flame wobbles but doesn't go out. At 8:47, heels strike tile like a metronome. Evan appears, hair perfect, jaw set. The same jacket he wore the night we met, as if clothes can cosplay character. He takes in my near-empty plate, the lonely second-place setting, the candle burning down like a short fuse. What the hell, Lydia, he says, voice clipped. You posted that I called you a placeholder? My mom called me. My coworkers saw. I posted that I'm nobody's placeholder, I say. If people made connections, that's on them. He sits without being invited, grabs the bottle, pours too hard. This is about Kellen's party, isn't it? That was just guy talk. You know how we are. I do now. He reaches for charm. Come on, don't be dramatic. You know I love you. You're predictable, in the best way. Predictable, the compliment that asks you to stay the same. The waiter approaches and, with quiet mercy, tells him the kitchen is closed. Evan tries to negotiate with a manager who doesn't owe him anything. I stand, slide a folded 20 beneath the dessert plate for the line who stayed late, and pick up my clutch. Outside, the air has that polished, rain-just-left smell. Evan follows, footsteps sharp. You embarrass me, he says, like an accusation he can invoice. Everyone's asking what happened. Brian says you overreacted. Jaden says you're having a breakdown. Cool, I say. What does Taylor from Pilates think? His face stills. How do you... I pay attention, Evan. Even placeholders have ears. I head toward my car. He catches my wrist, not hard, but possessive enough to document. We need to talk, he says. You owe me that. I release my hand slow, no scene, just gravity and decision. I don't owe debt on something I didn't purchase. This is petty, Lydia. You don't end a 2-year relationship over a joke. You end a 2-year performance when the lead finally blows his line. I open my door. He's breathing fast now, words tumbling. You're not going to find better than me. I pause, really look at him. The man who thought stability meant I'd never check the doors. I don't need better. I need different. Different like who? Different like someone who doesn't need an audience to offer respect. I get in. He stands there, phone in his hand, eyes calculating whether to text or post or plead. I start the engine. The dash glows soft blue. For a moment, for him, I am a mirror he does not recognize. I pull away and leave him framed in the rear view, small, furious, and already opening his camera app. When I get home, the house is quiet. Not empty, clean. I hang the dress, wipe off the makeup, and set my phone face down on the nightstand. Between the calm and the click of the bedside lamp, I hear it. The exact second dignity returns. It sounds like a door unlocking from the inside. The morning after the anniversary, my doorbell rang like a bad idea in a nice suit. On the mat, 2 paper bags of groceries sweating in the sun. Evan stood there with an apron looped around his neck like he'd strangled a resolution. I brought fixings for your favorite, he said, holding up a box of the wrong pasta and a jar of sauce I'm allergic to. Evan, I said, opening the door only as wide as my patience. I don't eat dairy. He blinked. Since when? Since always. I pointed to the EpiPen on the console table he'd claimed was aesthetically aggressive. He laughed, shaky. Okay, fair. I'll go swap it. But can we just talk, please? We can talk when you can name one thing that's for me and not for optics. He set the bags down like an offering and slid a note on top. Ghosting is immature. Let me fix this. The handwriting looked like a signature on a check that was going to bounce. I didn't reply. By dusk, the love bombs exploded into shrapnel. A dozen texts. You humiliated me. My friends think you're unstable. Brian says you weaponize silence. Then the threats dressed as therapy. I can't sleep. If you cared, you'd answer. Then a photo of Taylor from Pilates at a bar with him, her smile turned up to maximum wattage. Some people know how to have fun. The next day, he upgraded from digital to theatrical. He brought Taylor to my gym like she was a subpoena. He walked past my squat rack, loud enough for the mirrors to hear. Babe, he told her, you spot me? Going for a PR. Lydia never could handle this weight. Taylor, trying to impress, loaded the bar like an apology she couldn't keep. He unracked, wobbling, bravado shaking like a loose plate. 2 strangers sprinted over. The bar clanged back onto hooks with the metallic shriek of a lesson, and security asked them to keep it down. Evan laughed too hard to be comfortable. Taylor avoided my eyes, cheeks high with secondhand embarrassment. I didn't say a word. Later, the manager sent me the security clip with a shrug emoji. I forwarded it to Evan, just the link, no caption. He blocked me, then unblocked me to send pathetic Lydia. I was going to take you back. I muted the thread and felt my nervous system unclench by a millimeter. That night, I changed every shared password he'd been coasting on. The Netflix, the Spotify, the Disney Plus he used to stream shows he swore were beneath him. At 2:11 a.m., my phone rang 6 times. Voicemail. Are you serious? I was in the finale. You're ruining my life over a joke. I added the voicemail to a folder labeled Receipts and slept like fresh sheets. Then, the unexpected ally, Gloria, his mother. She'd always treated me like I'd arrived early to something important. Her text lit up my screen. What happened, sweetheart? He's a mess and won't tell me the truth. I told her, calmly, a chain of custody for pain. The overheard conversation, the placeholder, the social media acrobatics, the anniversary dinner where time exposed character. Her reply came fast. I am so sorry. He was raised better. I'm uninviting him from the family cruise. If he can't treat a woman with respect, he can stay home and think about it. An hour later, Evan's messages returned. Hotter, scrambled. My mother is punishing me because of your post? That's manipulative, Lydia. Grow up. I sent him a single line. Take it up with your board of directors. He took it up with the internet instead. A Facebook status went up. Public, performative. When people choose metal over meaning, love loses. I gave to charity and got crucified. Pray for those who can't see past shiny things. Underneath, a photo of my empty place at the restaurant. He tagged me. The comments arrived like weather. Jaden, didn't you brag those cars, her interests, were the only reason she was interesting? Brian, bro, you told us she was a placeholder. Pick a lane. Kellen, delete this. It's embarrassing. And then a DM from Sierra's friend Chloe, whom I'd met once at a barbecue and remembered for her ability to see through smoke. You don't know me, but you should see this, she wrote. Screenshots followed. Evan in the group chat, typing. She's comfortable. Perfect practice girlfriend until I can trade up. 3 weeks before our anniversary. I read them twice, the way you read a diagnosis that explains the symptoms you've been naming mood. I sent the screenshots to Gloria. 10 minutes later, she called. I changed the locks, she said, voice steady as a gavel. He can pick up his things when I'm home. He needs to learn what doors close when you disrespect the person holding the key. Gloria, I said, throat tight, you don't have to. Sweetheart, I do. He's 28, not 8. Consequences have a birthday, too. The next 48 hours were a montage. Evan staging chance encounters at my cafe, my bookstore, my Saturday market. He'd swagger in with Taylor, who looked increasingly like she'd agreed to a role without reading the script. He'd laugh too loud, drop lines for my benefit. Relationships should be fun, right? I learned to look through him, the way you look through a glass door when you've already walked outside. When Taylor finally dumped him, 9 days, world record in clarity, she sent me a message from her burner account. I'm sorry. He kept comparing everything to you, but in a weird way. He's exhausting. I sent back a thumbs up and felt zero triumph. Relief isn't a parade. It's a quiet street. Evan pivoted. He enlisted Mia, a mutual friend who once baked me banana bread after my promotion. Help me move, her text said. I showed up because I am not unkind. On the curb, Evan in a fresh tee, Mia apologetic, a box labeled Lydia's stuff lying suspiciously on top. Inside, 2 old t-shirts, a phone charger that wasn't mine, a half-used bottle of cologne I'd never liked, manufactured history. I didn't know Mia started, eyes wide. It's okay, I said gently. We've all been collateral. When I tried to leave, Evan pulled his car across my bumper like he owned asphalt. You owe me a conversation, he said, loud enough for the building to hear. 2 years, Lydia. Do you know how many girls I turned down for you? Was I supposed to be grateful, I asked, that you kept options warm while treating me lukewarm? He threw his hands up. My therapist says you're emotionally abusive. Kelsey got her psych degree from Instagram, I said, and several neighbors snorted. Phones came out. The scene archived itself without my help. By evening, the nuisance calls began. He reported me to my apartment office for aggressive ignoring. He called my job claiming I had thousands of his property. HR asked for evidence. I sent the folder, the placeholder quotes, the security clip, the Venmo requests that would come later. My manager's reply was a simple, got it. Take whatever time you need. Evan moved on to a TikTok. Day 12, trying to get my ex to communicate like an adult. She abandoned me on our anniversary because of a joke. Toxic femininity is real. 50,000 views. The comments did what comments do when truth is contagious. She told the mirror, and the mirror told everyone. Imagine calling your girlfriend a placeholder, then being mad she leaves you on red. Sir, the toxicity was inside the house. He deleted it after 6 hours, but not before Chloe grabbed the link and sent it my way with a smiley skull. That night, Venmo pinged. A request from Evan for $847. Half of anniversary dinner. Missed Uber rides, therapy, emotional labor, audacity tax. I declined with the note. Placeholders don't pay invoices. He sent it again. I declined. Ex-placeholders, neither. Finally, I sent $3.50 with, for gas to almost get to dinner. Keep the change. I half expected thunder. Instead, the city exhaled. Somewhere a neighbor watered plants. The sink hummed. My phone rested face down, silent at last. In the quiet, a new outline appeared where the old one had been. My life without audience participation. Boundaries like good architecture, weight-bearing, unseen from the street, beautiful to live inside. I slept, and when morning came, I made eggs for one and brewed coffee exactly the way I like it. Without apology, without witnesses, without needing to explain that this, too, is a love story. 2 weeks of silence should have been enough, but men like Evan don't crave closure. They crave reaction. When you stop clapping, they start improvising. It began with coincidences. He'd show up wherever I went. The Saturday cafe where I wrote, the bookstore where I browsed, always with someone new, always too loud. At first it was Taylor, smiling so hard you could hear her molars crack. Then, when that ended, a revolving cast of dates that looked increasingly borrowed from his gym roster. He'd laugh, toss glances my way, narrate his new life like a commercial for self-esteem. Relationships should be fun, right, babe? He'd say that word, babe, louder than necessary, hoping I'd flinch. I never did. I'd learned that silence isn't absence. Sometimes it's a verdict. 9 days. That's how long Taylor lasted. Mia told me later, she dumped him because he kept comparing everything to you. Apparently his compliments came with my name as the watermark. Lydia never complained about this song. Lydia always ordered the good wine. Lydia made this dish better. Taylor finally said, then go eat at Lydia's, and left. It would have been funny if it wasn't so predictable. Evan didn't want partners. He wanted audiences. And I'd retired from the show. Then came the ambush. Mia, bless her too soft heart, texted me early Saturday. Can you help me move a few boxes? I'll buy you coffee after. Of course I said yes. She'd been kind through all of it. But when I pulled up, there he was, leaning against his car, arms crossed, like the main character in a music video he financed himself. Mia's face screamed apology. I didn't know he'd... I know, I said. It's fine. He smiled that tight, confident smile of someone convinced charm can rewrite memory. Lyd, we need to talk. You owe me that. Owe you? I asked. For what exactly? For 2 years of my life. For every guy I turned down for you. I almost laughed. You mean the ones on standby while you tested the starter girlfriend package? The veins in his neck pulsed. You're twisting everything. You've ruined my reputation. Everyone's saying... I didn't ruin it, I said. You broadcasted it. He threw his hands up theatrically. My therapist says what you did was emotional abuse. Your therapist, Kelsey, who took her psych degree from Instagram? Mia winced. Okay, she whispered. I'm going to start loading the car. Neighbors had already begun filming from balconies. Evan's voice rose another octave. You think this is funny? You're toxic, Lydia. Everyone sees it. I smiled, slow. Then maybe stop giving them new episodes. He shouted, You'll regret this. But his car was blocking mine. And when I tried to move around, he stood in front of my bumper like a martyr. You can't just walk away again. I did once, I said. It was easier than this. Mia finally slid into my passenger seat. Please, just drive. I inched forward. He stepped aside, muttering something about karma. Funny thing about karma, it doesn't need stage directions. By Monday, my apartment complex got a call. Evan claimed I was harassing him through aggressive ignoring. The leasing manager actually laughed. He said ignoring? She asked, pen hovering. Yes, I said. She shook her head. We'll note that as resolved. Next was my job. He called HR, said I'd stolen thousands in property. My manager, a woman named Janine who survived 2 divorces and a startup collapse, listened politely. Then she asked him for evidence. He sputtered something about emotional assets and hung up. Janine turned to me and said, Take a long lunch. You've earned it. But the masterpiece of delusion came online. A TikTok appeared. Day 12. Trying to get my ex to communicate like an adult. She abandoned me on our anniversary because of a joke. Toxic femininity is real. It got 50,000 views in hours. The comments section was pure poetry. She called him a placeholder, and he called it therapy. Bro, you're the toxic femininity. This is why NDAs exist. King of bad decisions. 6 hours later, the video disappeared, but not before Chloe DM'd me the link with, For your records, queen. My folder labeled receipts was starting to look like a documentary. Then the Venmo requests started. 847s, half of anniversary dinner, missed Uber rides, emotional labor, the audacity. I declined. He sent it again. I declined again, noting, placeholders don't pay invoices. The next one came with therapy reimbursement. I sent him $3.50 with the note, for the gas you wasted trying to get to dinner. Keep the change. That was the last straw. At 1:00 a.m., he left me 3 voicemails in a row, a wild mix of crying, shouting, and self-pity. You think you're better than me? You're cruel. I loved you more than anyone. Tyler's twice the man I'll ever be. He wasn't wrong about the last part, but still. I forwarded the recordings to Gloria. She'd asked me to keep her updated if he spiraled again. Her call came minutes later. I'm changing the locks, she said. He's 30 years old and acting like a toddler. Thank you for letting me know. Gloria, you don't have to. No, sweetheart. Actions have consequences. You just watch. He'll finally meet the grown-up version of accountability. The next day, Mia called, sounding wrung out. He's been couch surfing. Gloria kicked him out. And honestly, everyone's over it. He's been showing up to girls' nights crying about how you're winning the breakup. Winning? I said, stirring my tea. I'm just living. Yeah, Mia sighed. That's the problem. You're too calm. He hates that you're okay. I smiled into the quiet. Then I'm definitely on the right path. That night, I scrolled through my gallery and saw a photo I'd taken months ago. A blurry shot of Evan cooking, half smiling, unaware. I deleted it without ceremony. And then the next one, and the next. By the fifth photo, my chest didn't ache anymore. Some memories deserve to fade without eulogies. Some stories end not with shouting, but with space, the kind you finally realize was always yours. I didn't plan to meet someone new. I planned to meet myself again. Quiet mornings, playlists without subtext, meals that stayed warm because no one was scrolling between bites. But life has a sense of irony sharper than any revenge plot. It happened in the back row of a cooking class I signed up for on a whim. I was stirring a sauce that didn't need me when someone beside me muttered, "You're burning that like it owes you money." I turned. Noah Patel, pediatric nurse, 31. Kind eyes. Sleeves rolled up to forearms that looked like they actually worked for a living. He grinned. Sorry, bad joke reflex, occupational hazard. I laughed for the first time in months without it catching on an edge. We ended up partnered for the course. He chopped. I measured. He apologized for being 10 minutes late the first night because a patient needed him, and I felt something small and sturdy click into place. A man apologizing for being late to real responsibility. What a plot twist. He didn't rush, didn't post, didn't perform. When he texted, it was things like, "You left your wooden spoon in my bag." And that recipe turned out better than expected. No love bombing, no strategy, just a slow, quiet rhythm that felt like breathing through both lungs again. By the time spring curled around the city, we were something. Not labeled, just comfortable. Like the world finally stopped asking me to audition. That's when irony sent one last encore. The hospital where Noah worked sat across from a boutique in the same plaza. And guess who got a new job there? Evan. I saw him before he saw us. Window display, arranging mannequins like props for a play no one bought tickets to. Noah nudged me. You okay? Yeah, I said, just an echo from a life I outgrew. We tried to walk past unnoticed. The universe laughed. Lydia? His voice snapped through the glass. He stepped outside, sunglasses perched on false confidence. Wow, small world. Noah offered a polite nod. Hey. Evan's gaze flicked between us, calculating. So this is the new guy? This is Noah, I said evenly. He smirked. You really downgraded, huh? Guy looks like he apologizes to furniture. Noah smiled. Only if I bump into it. Evan blinked, thrown off by politeness he couldn't weaponize. Then, as if on cue, he spotted his reflection in the glass and straightened his jacket. You know, Lydia, you could have handled things differently. Public humiliation wasn't necessary. Neither was public betrayal, I said. He stepped closer. I just wanted closure. Closure isn't a dialogue, I said. It's an ending. Noah's hand brushed mine, not claiming, just steadying. Evan's jaw flexed. You think you've won, huh? I think I stopped playing. He laughed once, sharp and hollow. Whatever helps you sleep. Then, in an act of cosmic poetry, he turned to storm back inside, caught his elbow on a mannequin stand, and sent a whole display tumbling. Shoes everywhere, glass wobbling. The boutique manager rushed out, pale. Evan, she hissed. That's the second time this week. He tried to salvage a smile. It's fine, just a little. Go inside, she snapped. Now. He glared at me like gravity was my fault, then stomped off. Noah exhaled. That was something. Yeah, I said, smiling faintly. He always had a talent for set destruction. A week later, I got a call from Gloria. I suppose you've heard, she said. I saw the shoe storm, I said. She chuckled. He got fired. Threw a fit at the manager, broke a display mirror. You'd think reflection therapy would be his thing. Is he okay? I asked and meant it. As okay as someone who's been evicted, jobless, and thinks the universe conspired through mannequins can be. We sat in silence a moment before she added, I wanted to thank you, not for forgiving him, but for surviving him. That night, I sat on my balcony with Noah and 2 mugs of mint tea. The city hummed below, restless but distant. Do you ever think about responding? He asked. To Evan, sometimes. What would you say? I thought about it. The years I spent being the calm to someone else's storm, the way silence had finally become my own kind of weather. Nothing, I said. Sometimes the loudest answer is no sound at all. He nodded. You deserve quiet. And there it was. No drama, no speech, just a sentence that felt like exhale. A week later, an unknown number texted, Lydia, it's Evan. I know you hate me, but I need to say this. You were never a placeholder. You were the real thing. I was too stupid to see it. I hope he deserves you. I stared at the words for a while, then deleted them. No screenshots, no folder, no evidence, just release. Because closure isn't getting the last word. It's realizing you don't need one. Now, weekends smell like flour and burnt sugar. Noah hums while whisking batter. I laugh when he misses a beat. We talk about recipes, travel, maybe adopting a dog. No hidden meanings, no rehearsed lines. Sometimes I think about that night at the steakhouse, the candle, the empty chair, the quiet resolve, how I thought I was ending something, not realizing I was also starting. Evan once said I was a placeholder. He was half right. I was holding space for the life, the peace, and the love that finally arrived. And this time, no one's late.